Hello, everyone. Well, we gonna hope that this internet stays stable long enough. If you are watching the replay, let me know by putting #replay. I am Dr. Marvette Lacy. I work with doctoral students to write their dissertations in 12 months or less. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My apologies for being late. I came and I was all ready, and then my whole drink just spilled over my desk, and I needed to clean that up. So thank you for your patience. I hope y'all are doing well. Let me know how you're doing in the comments. Today is just something on my spirit before we get started. If you would like to be coached, let me just put this in the comment. You need to request or put your questions in the Q&A box. Let me just do this, or put question and okay, but something on my spirit is shame doesn't work. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Like, oftentimes we will spend a lot of energy telling ourselves, like, you should know better. You should have done XYZ already. Why did you wait to the last minute? Why did you wait so long? Conversations like that is an indication that you're feeling shame, and you're probably feeling it very intensely rather. And what I just want to remind you is that it doesn't work. I know if you had family like mine, a mama like mine, right, they use that to get you to do things, right? It's one of the ways in general that society knows how to motivate itself. But it doesn't work, because if it worked, we wouldn't have to increase the intensity of the shame every single time, like to do the same action. Shame can be a motivator. It just comes at a great cost, like your mental and emotional well-being, depression, anxiety, other challenges come up when we constantly operate from a place of shame. And I just want to tell that to somebody, to say, like, it's not going to work. Like, it's not going to do what you think it is. And you punishing yourself is not going to make you put words on a page faster. You talking shit to yourself is not going to make you become a whole doctor any faster. It's just going to make you feel worse. Instead of shame, practice some empathy, which is going to feel like a whole bunch of BS in the beginning. It's going to feel like, y'all let me know. Okay, we're going to do that. Hopefully the internet, AT&T, can keep us going. All right, but try being like empathetic. It will feel kind of foreign to you. It'll feel like you're letting yourself off the hook. You're taking the easy way out. Or you feel like if you are not talking shit to yourself, then you're not going to do the thing. But you're still not doing the thing while you're talking shit to yourself. Let me know if that makes sense. And I'm just going to check. There's no questions. I'm going to stay on and seeing if there are any questions. For those of you who are just joining, I am just here to offer any assistance that I can. I know that the academic year is about to begin for some in the next week or so. For some of y'all still have a couple of more weeks. And I just wanted to help. I've worked with over 45 students to become doctor. I have another 50 students in my programs who work with me, who are working on their dissertations. I am someone who will help you get the structure and the support you need in order to show up consistently and disciplined in your dissertation process. Like, people tell you, oh, you should write every day, or you should be, breaking down things in little chunks. And you probably look at them like I was looking at them, like, that's not how my brain works. I can't write every day. I don't even know how to do that. It takes me so long to just even get my head straight to write, and you somehow write every day, right? So if you're feeling like that, that is my specialty, because I figured it out. And I figured out, not that it's some major secret, I just figured out people are not clear when they're giving instructions to you. Faculty tend to not be as clear as you would need them to be to help you progress throughout the dissertation. And when I got to the other side, I was like, listen, this is easier than people are making it seem. The hardest part, listen to me, the hardest part that you're ever going to encounter in this dissertation process is what's happening up here, the way you talk to yourself, the way you feel on the inside. The writing part is easy. You have wrote many of papers before, and the dissertation, for all intents and purposes, is 5 20-page assignments put together, right? Now, I know you're like, you got to be longer than 100 pages, but you got to start somewhere. So number one, if you could think about it as an assignment, take the pressure off of it, that'll help. Number two, if you can embrace that this is not meant for you to sit down one day and write out a whole perfectly written dissertation and turn it in and never have feedback. No, the purpose of this stage of the doctoral process is for you to sit down, put some words on a page, and while you're looking at those words being like, they don't even make no sense, somebody's not going to even be able to read this, and still turning it in to someone for them to give you feedback on those words that you think don't make sense. Because some of those words do make sense. Some of them may be best for another manuscript. Some of them, yeah, we need to take them out. But you let the person who's giving you feedback tell you that, and then you look at their feedback and you say, do I agree with this? Do I not? Do I want to incorporate it? Do I not? And you rewrite another draft and you turn it in to someone else, and you keep doing that process until all parties agree, like, it's good enough to be done. The challenge where this becomes difficult for y'all is you think that you're not supposed to go through that process. Or if you are going through that process, it must mean that something is wrong. You think that if you have to write, give it to someone to give you feedback, and they mark up your whole page, you think there's something wrong with you as a person, instead of saying, no, this is a part of the writing process. The biggest thing I can tell you, the secret, because there's no secret, is learning to separate who you are from what you do. This is a life lesson for somebody. Separate who you are from what you do. You are not what you do. Writing is something you do. It is not who you are. So if I'm working on a manuscript and I give that to my friend to review, and she's like, girl, it's trash, respectfully and with all the love, I'm not going to take that to mean that she is saying I'm trash. I'm going to take that to mean like, yeah, that draft wasn't it. Okay. Because I am not what I do. In the same way I would do that with my dissertation chair. She is someone who is notorious for like slashing up a page and having 50 billion comments and track changes about coming to them and telling you like you're an awful writer or you shouldn't be in the program or some version of that. I had that too. I had the department chair. Listen, the most senior person, the department chair, tell me my writing was awful and that he doesn't understand why he let me in the program. And even with that, I'm like, yeah, I cried. Let me be real. I cried. I was hurt. But I walked away from that experience being like, no, I'm going to see that for what it is. That's racism. And I'm going to just leave it there. On this side of things, I can tell you that man was just miserable. He was just miserable. He wanted me to show up a certain way that I wasn't showing up. It ain't got nothing to do with me and everything to do with him. And I hope that you could take that to realize, like, if anybody told you anything like that, that ain't got nothing to do with you. Yeah, they projected their inner turmoil on you, but it ain't got nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. You are not what you do. You are a person. Just because you are here and you're breathing and you're alive, like, you are worthy. You are deserving of love and respect. Period. You don't have to do anything for those things. You are worthy of it right now. If someone is giving you feedback on your writing, you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to incorporate it. You get to decide which battles you're going to fight as it relates to the feedback or how you're writing a dissertation. But that doesn't have anything to do with you as a person or your worth. Stop talking shit to yourself. Stop using shame as a way to motivate you, because it's not working. I know this title say 30-day literature review, but this is for somebody. The reason why you can't write your literature review or any other chapter in your dissertation, or maybe you're working on comps, or maybe this is for something else, it has nothing to do with your ability to write. You wouldn't have made it this far if you could not write. You wouldn't have made it this far if you didn't have what it took to be a whole ass doctor. You don't have to talk shit to yourself to get to the other side. You may be thinking, well, that's what worked for me in the past. And I'm going to ask you, did it really work? Did it really work? Do you enjoy what you do? Look, this is a great question. Do you enjoy being in your doctoral program? The thing, I want you to go back to when you first applied to this program. I bet you were excited. I bet you were telling everybody like, y'all, I'm gonna be serious. I'm not going nowhere. Don't even, right? Like, don't even try to ask me to do anything. Like listen, I had all the school supplies. I had made a plan. I was like, I'm gonna read and write and do all the things 10 hours a day. So excited. Only to get in and be like, oh no, they tricked me. See, they tricked me. That's how I felt. Like somebody tricked me. The reason why I'm bringing this up is no one tricked you. You decided to come into the program. Yes, Love Jones. I don't know your first name. I'm going to go with it. I love it. I love a good, let me focus. Because I started thinking about Lorenz Tate and I'm about to go off track. All right. Yes, some people enjoy their programs. Some people love their programs. Some people feel like they're having the best time of their lives right now being in their programs. Some people love their chairs. Hands down, love them. I'm one of them. I will fight you if you try to talk about my chair. Listen, I almost tried to fight somebody at an academic conference, and I don't feel no shame about it either. Because she's working, I was ready to be like, girl, what we don't do, I don't play about my chair. And if you want to know more about our relationship, I invite you to listen to yesterday's podcast episode. I interviewed her again. But anyway, yes, people enjoy it. Let me go back to what I was saying. But let me know if you have questions or if you want coaching. Talking shit to yourself, though, does not work. And I want you to remember that person, that version of you that signed, who applied for the program, who interviewed for the program, who was so excited to be accepted by the program. And now you're like, this some bull. And I'm not saying that you don't have right. I'm not saying you don't have receipts. You don't have real reasons as to why you don't enjoy your program or you like they can kick rocks. But what I want you to sit with, the truth here, you're still in the program. You are still deciding to be in the program. For all the shit you talk about it, you're still in the program. Because everyone has the choice to leave it. The reason why I ask students, one of my first questions is, why are you still doing this? Isn't because I want to get everybody to leave the program. I just want you to be honest with yourself. I want you to take responsibility for the decisions you're making, the ones that you made before and the ones you continue to make. You're deciding to be in the toxic program. You could leave. Now, you might say, well, I don't have a choice. I want to be faculty. And what I would ask you is, why do you think that any other institution and program would be different? Even for the people who enjoy their program, there might be people in your exact program. I'm willing to bet there are. There are people in your exact program who love it, who would tell anybody who's willing to listen how amazing it is. How could it be that the two of you exist? I'm not saying you need to lie to yourself and enjoy it. I'm saying be honest, right? So me, by the time I got to the end of it, I was actively telling people, don't come here. You don't want this. Don't come to this program. I know it look cute because you see all these black people, but don't do that. Don't come here. But I was out, and when they would ask me, why am I still there? Because I'm getting everything that I want. I'm just no longer going to get caught up in the shit show that it is of this program. I'm no longer getting caught up in what they think of me. I'm no longer getting caught up of asking for their validation and approval. I'm coming to get what I came to get, and I'm leaving. I'm asking you, how different would your program be if you had a similar attitude? I don't have no malice in my heart for that program or the people. I'm just like, yeah, that's what it was. If you're going to go, here's what my experience was like. I'm not saying it's going to be your experience. Just telling you what mine was like. Inappropriate. They were doing what they were designed to do. Y'all forget, y'all love to study systems of oppression, but you forget that higher education and all formalized education is a primary tool of oppression. And then you get upset when you go into this program and they do what they do best, which is oppressing. I'm just asking you to acknowledge that. Learn to separate that's them. That's an oppressive system being oppressive. You chose to participate in it. In the same way you chose to do that, you can also make the decision to say, but how they think and what they view of me ain't none of my business. And I know this is easier said than done, which is why I'll keep repeating it on this live. When you can get to that place, it will be miraculous how much you'll be able to write. This is what I talk to clients about all the time. Like, y'all think you need like a writing plan, and you need to have a perfectly curated, like with stickers and color coded spreadsheets of when you should do what by. And I'm telling you that even if you had that, you will still probably be struggling to like write, because it's not about deadlines, or if you have a plan, you know how to do that. You don't make it through all these years of schooling without knowing how to do that. What you don't have much practice in is separating who you are from what you do. This accomplishment, you becoming doctor, doesn't make you. You already you. It's a title. It's some letters. Yes, it may get you into some rooms and some jobs that you probably couldn't get into without it, but it doesn't make you you. It doesn't make you any more worthy or legitimate. You're already legitimate. You're already an expert. The only difference between you and your chair or your faculty is a signature on a piece of paper, because that's what's going to the graduate school, a signature and a document that they're like, all right, it fits our formatting requirements, because the graduate school isn't going to read it. IRB is not going to read it. Your committee reads it and then says, okay, yep, it's good enough. Here's the signature. You're a doctor. Stop making that mean, stop hinging your worth on that. You're already worthy. You're already worthy. Okay. Coach, I'm seeing if this works. Someone did request, but Instagram is finicky, so I don't know if that's working. Okay. So Susan, if you're still here, I'm trying to bring you on, but I don't know if that's working or not. But while that happens, if you take nothing else from today's conversation, you are not what you do. I don't care if somebody told you you should live at the Writing Center. It don't mean nothing about you as a person. And it doesn't mean that you won't become doctor. If you can embrace putting words on a page, turning it in for feedback, and being willing to face whatever the person said because you know it doesn't have anything to do with you, you would finish faster. How I'm able to help people finish the entire dissertation process in 6 months and 12 months is because that's what we work on constantly. We work on separating that you are not what you do. Okay, let's see if that will work. I don't know, Susan. I keep pressing the button, but it's not working, so I'm not sure what's going on. A literature review, especially for your proposal, I encourage people to have a 20 to 30 page document. This is why. You're going to have to rewrite that literature review. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to rewrite your literature review once you are done collecting and analyzing your data. That's what the people don't tell you. And I would much rather you write a solid 20, 30 page literature review for the proposal and go defend it, because no one's going to ask you about it in your defense. First of all, they're not going to ask you. At most, they might ask you, what is your problem and how did you get to that problem? That's all a 2-minute conversation, if that. But most people don't want to ask you a question about your literature review. They ask you about, what are your methods? How are you collecting data? What data will you be collecting? Why are you doing it that way? What exactly will you do? That's the bulk of your proposal defense. You're going to be real upset if you spend a lot of time and energy on a literature review that no one even talks about, and you have to rewrite once you get to chapter 5. Because the literature review really doesn't come into play until chapter 5. Now, I know there's all types of outliers and exceptions to this rule, but for most of y'all, 90% of y'all, and you're not the 10%, if that's what your anxiety is telling you. How you would know you were the 10% if you were doing something like maybe a program evaluation. Maybe you're focusing more on a methodology or a particular method. Maybe that's when somebody's going to ask you about the literature. But for those of you who are interested in the experiences of XYZ, no one's going to ask you about the literature. And if they do ask you, you can answer it off the top of your head. How do I know? Because you probably spend months and years reading articles. You've been reading, but you haven't put words on the page. And because you're so worried that somebody's going to clock you about not knowing a certain citation. They don't, listen, y'all, nobody's going to ask you in that way. They want to know about the research. It is only after you collect data and you analyze it and you tell us what those findings are that then people have questions to say, how are the findings that you have for your study related to what we know about literature? That is what chapter 5 is. So people don't care about your literature review until you get to the end, which is why you just need to write a draft. Write a draft, give feedback on it, let it be good enough, and move on. Most of my clients, when they turn in their proposal, they're like, I know that the literature review is 20 pages, and their chair's like, I don't care. Turn this in because you got to get to the data. For the chairs that do care about a literature review, there's something else happening there. And that's a whole nother conversation. Okay. All right. I'm not seeing any questions. It won't let me bring you on, Susan. So I'm gonna call it for today. But make sure y'all sign up for the 30-day literature review workshop. Right now it's 50% off if you need help. And let's finish this. Before August is done, you could have a whole ass literature review. All right, the link is in the bio, and we will meet live next Thursday, so a week from today at 7 p.m. Eastern. All right, I hope y'all have a good weekend. And remember, you are not what you do, okay? All right, y'all.